Hello out there in digital world. It's She Rai Studios here again. My name is Heather, and I have the amazing Marlene with us today. Marlene's book came out today on Amazon and other retailers, and the digital form ebook is out. Re-embrace you. So excited for you, Marlene. Marlene, why don't you tell everyone listening or watching the replay where you're at in the world and what really motivated you to jump out as an author and write this book?
Okay, thank you, Heather, for having me. Um, uh, nervous. Okay, I'm from Suriname, and Suriname. Most of the time when I say I'm from Suriname, people are always asking me where is Suriname. So Suriname is in South America, and we are in the northern part of South America. So when I'm talking about South America, about Suriname, I tell them, Brazil is our southern neighbor, and then they can place it,
Sure.
and yeah, and the Atlantic Ocean is in the north, so we have the Atlantic Ocean, and it's a small country, around about 500,000 people living here.
Wow.
Most of them living on the coastline. And something very special about Suriname is we have lots of the ethnic groups, different ethnic groups, because the people living here,
Mhm.
apart from the indigenous people, the Amerindians, all of the rest came here through slavery, immigration, and so on. So we have a mix of cultures that came
Mhm.
with ethnic groups, and that's where I grew up. And
Okay.
it's not strange when you can speak or understand just a few words of all the other languages.
Mhm.
From Chinese, most of us can count in Chinese, and
Oh, wow.
Hindustani, and Javanese, and say thank you probably. And there are lots of words. And growing up in not in town
Mhm.
but outside of town, excuse me,
Fine.
it was a group of mixture. When I was at school, the primary school with my siblings, we went to school in a community where there were lots of Japanese, so we knew all the
Mhm.
Japanese songs and we could speak Japanese. So I'm so
That's
grateful.
amazing. Yeah, just to
But
have those tools.
I want the world to know where I come from, because we are a mixture of different culture, and the tolerance, even in the political world where sometimes there is a clash, but it's
Mhm.
always the tolerance is really here. We live in harmony, although we disagree, and sometimes very um, hard disagreements, but it's still a peaceful country to live in, and
That's
that has
beautiful.
contributed to my whole being who I am today.
It sounds beautiful. I would love to come and see it and just
You
see
are
these cultures
invited.
living together. That would be
You
amazing.
have someone here, Heather. So if you come,
Yeah,
you will be having someone here.
awesome. So let's talk a little about your book. I mean, obviously, this diverse community that you grew up in of interlocking cultures, really gave you your foundation. But this book, Re-embrace You, why was it so important for you to want to share this journey with the world?
So it started um, with that's life's happening to everybody. And
Mhm.
I started writing down my experiences and my challenges, but not with the idea of writing a book.
Mm,
It was for me just important to write down the challenges. But then I began coaching men and women, and I saw a relation. I could relate to what they were experiencing and what I was experiencing. And then a good friend of mine mentioned to me, "Why don't you write a book?" And I was right, yes, I could. What about the publishing part? So, but still, I continue writing all the more because of the relatable stories. And
mhm,
then along the way, and something that's started 4 years ago. And then
mhm,
I discovered that. one of the key parts in this whole in all these stories and my story was
Mhm.
the relationship we have with ourselves.
Mhm.
And um, it is like, you know, I see it like this. When a baby is born
Mhm.
and this baby grows up, there is a stage in the life of the baby where we call it the stubborn phase, because they say no and they know what they want. But in fact, it's the person, it's they know who they are at that moment. But
Mhm.
because of our upbringing, and in my case, it's a mixture of all these cultures together. Because what the freedom with which I experienced in my upbringing, I see that those are restricted in other cultures. So
Mhm.
um, while we were in this upbringing stage, become an adult, a teenager, adult, and so on, we get rules and restrictions and all these things, being obedient, not and especially in our culture, not talking back, and so on, makes you
Mhm.
turn into yourself, and in most cases, afraid to expressing yourself out of
Mhm.
respect. And that's the common thread I saw in all these stories relatable to mine.
Mhm.
And it kept me thinking like, wow, is the relationship with yourself is very important, because then you know who you are, what you stand for. And in some way we know who we are, what we stand for, and yet we let others compromise this. We
Yeah.
and in this book I delve deeper into what it is to
Mhm.
know who you are,
Yeah, it's a
and
great
from
point.
there to develop that relationship. It's also like when you meet someone, you want to know who that person is. You want to know what does this person like, what does this person, what doesn't, what is it that this person doesn't like. So it's with yourself that same thing. And in this that's how I got inspired to write this book. But then again, it was like, okay, I had the rough outline, how what I would like it to look like, and then it was okay. And but how will I publish this book? I live in Suriname. We have publishers here, but this is something very expensive. And then She Rises Studios came along. I would, one thing I know for sure, what you are seeking is seeking the right person. And what I discovered is, um, what you're seeking is seeking you. And then the Facebook page of She Rises Studios
Mhm.
got somehow into my feed, and they were looking for 100 women for the project
Yeah.
of the 100 voices of women. And it was a scholarship. And I was so I thought, yes, this is it. I had a conversation with Ashley, and then, but still I was not sure. And then I had this conversation with my younger sister, like, I want to do this, but I'm not sure. And she asked me one question, and she said, if these women, their books are published, it was last year,
Mhm.
next year, the 2024, how would you feel? And I said to her, I would feel like I failed. I passed an opportunity that was meant for me. And she said, you have your answer. And that's where I had this conversation with She Rises Studios, and got into this project. And that's also how this book is published. So I'm so grateful for this
And I am
experience.
so grateful that we're able to help you bring the story to life, and that really was the purpose for the Voices of 100 Women. We've done a couple other scholarship projects. In fact, Hannah and Adriana try to do a scholarship project every year to bring these voices from across the globe you know, to the world. I mean, you should be able to share your voice. You shouldn't be hindered by the fact of, can I afford this type of publishing or not? We're so grateful to be able to bring these stories. And I'm grateful that you found us, that you saw the message, and you heard the calling. And I think it's so important, the point you're making about, re-embracing you. A lot of times we do lose ourselves, whether becoming mothers or becoming wives. And not just for women, just as you become an adult, sometimes you lose a part of you because you're so busy trying to fit into society and, to adult through the day of what that means and the bills and the pain and things like that. And taking time to really center and come back to you and your thoughts and your desires and the core of who you are.
True, true. And before you continue, the part of my upbringing, the different culture is very important because now I'm coaching men and women from different ethnic groups, and
Mhm.
because we have insights and knowledge about the different cultures we have here in Suriname. For example, I know how not to ask a question. Yes. So that's the value of all these different
Multiple
cultures
cultures.
I grew up in.
It is true. You can offend someone very easily, unknowingly, right? And you can uplift though at the same time. So knowing that give and take of what one culture might expect that another does not, or vice versa, it is interesting. So you get to live in almost like a constant sociological experience
Yes, it's true.
by having all those different things right in front of you all the time. Um, that's so interesting, and thank you for being willing to share that experience with the world. So we've talked a little bit about it, but if you could pull out, I mean, it's a beautiful book. People, please go to Amazon, purchase this book, read this book, leave her a review and thoughts. She'd love to hear back from you. Re-embracing you is really designed to help you on that journey of self-discovery. But what is one of the messages you hope people really gain or learn from reading this book?
Um, Heather, it starts with the cover of the book. I have on the cover of the book three types of flowers that grow in Suriname.
Mm,
And if you look at the cover, and you can see it in the background of
yeah,
this
yeah.
book, and
Mhm,
there's a path, and this path is has on its sides also trees. The sun is
mhm,
shining through the trees. In
mhm,
the front of the path, at the beginning of the path, you have the Fayalubi flowers. You can see them over here. Those are the smaller ones. And Fayalubi means, if I could translate it's in Sranantongo. It means deep love, it's like passionate love. And
mhm.
this book is about self love. And
Aw,
then when you walk further down the path, you have the flowers called kotomisi. It's a medicinal plant. And here, if you they use it to keep your sugar, your insulin leveled. And so it's a medicinal plant. The book is also about healing. And then at the end of the bed, you have another flowers also growing in Suriname. But this flower is very special because it doesn't um, it dry out, but it doesn't rotten. And
ah,
it's called stanfasta. And stanfasta means steadfast. So in this path of self-love and healing, keep
mm,
going in the way you are in your self-development, yourself
I love
becoming
it.
self. And then you have the sun. We need the sun, but
Mhm.
also the shadow, because you cannot walk for hours only in the sun. You need some shadows. So this whole cover is in fact um, worded in letters in the book. So one of the things people can take from this book is there are lots of exercises. It's a reading workbook. You have this copy. You can write in it. There are exercises to um, help you, guide you developing this relationship with yourself, knowing what your core values are, how to identify your core values, um, examples how you can get them compromised, but also how to set and communicate healthy boundaries. Because we like to set boundaries, but we
Yeah.
also get them, we also cross our own boundaries. And it's not only boundaries in intimate relationships, but also with everyone, in your work, with your children. How many times we don't let our children cross our boundaries? So with your children, but also in intimate relationship with your sisters, family. Those are the where you can set your healthy boundaries. Because when you talk about boundaries, people often think only in intimate relationships, but it's through
Mm.
the whole area of different relationships. So the, those are the things people can take with this book. It says self, but yeah, you can write in it and have it with you, not just reading it and finishing and put it on the shelf. No, you can carry it with you.
Use it as
It's
your
a
self workbook. I love it. So from this book, from what I'm hearing, and this is the author, this is the woman who brought this book to life. So she knows all that's in it, and she poured out her growth and her development, her heart into this book. So if you're looking for self-love, if you're trying to find healing, if you're looking for a book that could show you growth and development, strength, resiliency, and boundaries, healthy boundaries is truly important. Like you said, a lot of times we focus in on boundaries for intimacy or maybe our children, but really healthy boundaries across the board for ourselves in multiple different ways. And this can really be a book of lessons that you've probably been looking for. And here it is, re-embrace you. I love the description you just gave. So if you didn't hear it earlier, watch the replay, but she gave a description of why the cover looks the way that it does, that the free flowers represent that journey and that change, self-love to healing to growth and development. I mean, absolutely just love it that you put so much thought into even the cover of the book. Because a lot of times people may or may not. I know my daughter wrote a book and a couple years ago, and she's looking to write a sequel, but it's like that where the cover literally has certain important things in it that really meant something to her that were super important for it to be in there. So I love that you did that with the cover.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, it was this, and this whole writing journey to it was healing, self healing also, but
Mhm.
also learning to know myself better. Also, we never cease to uh, know who you are in different stages of life, and especially the last chapter, coming home to yourself. That's my favorite.
Oh,
Where you really, at the end of the book, I really came home to myself, and I hope that that's the experience people have to have
I love
at the
it.
end.
Come home to yourself. Coming home to yourself. Awesome. Well, thank you, Marlene, for taking time and joining me today. It's been a beautiful conversation, and this is a amazing book. Please go out, get your copy. It's ebook now on Amazon and online retailers. Just a few short weeks, it's going to be going to paperback. So if you're looking for that paperback, where she, like you said, she can put it down and write in it and highlight it and work through it. It's coming soon, but get on there and get that ebook. It's not a lot of money to get your mindset going on what it is there too. So I'm really excited for this journey for you. Again, thank you for taking time to talk to us today. Re-embracing you by Marlene, and thank you. Have an amazing rest of your week. This is a great to start to Monday into the week
Yes,
for people to take some self discovery and love.
thank you so much, Heather, for this opportunity. Thank you so much, Shirai Studios, for this dream come true, and having me. It was really a pleasure, and I would like to hear from the readers
Yeah,
their
go on and leave a review. Marlene wants to hear from you. Reach out to her. She is a coach too, so she's happy to help. All right.
thank you.
Have a great rest of your week. Thank
Thank
you.
you. You too, Heather. Bye bye.